so I thought, well, just in case, I'll put my notes down. But hopefully I don't need them, and I didn't put them down on the ground, just in case, because Nick didn't have a skirt, and I thought that might not be good. But thank you for coming. Firstly, how excited are we all to be back at a conference in person? Hopefully this isn't a super spreader event. I know I've been hugging and kissing like mad for 3 days. But it should be really, really good. So it's fantastic to be here. It's exciting, and the energy is phenomenal. So for that, I'm grateful. I wanted to come and talk to you guys today about this market, because I don't know about you guys, but we're certainly feeling a change, and probably a little fearful, maybe a bit anxious. It's different. Can you relate to that? Yeah, it's certainly not what it was. And however you pronounce this, but that 80-20 rule, I know in our marketplace, 80% of the business tends to be done from about 20% of the realtors. Maybe even 90% of the business by 10. And I think that's kind of the same in a lot of markets. And I think in times like we're in now, which I think is a time like we're going to see for the coming 6 to 12 months, certainly, a shifting market. And I think now it really is going to take some skill, and it's going to take, I think, it was easier perhaps to be a realtor. It was hard to get the clients or get the business, but it didn't take a huge amount of skill. And now it takes a lot of skill. I've been doing this a long time. I won't tell you how long. My first couple of years in the business, I excitedly say, this is my 2nd year. This is my 3rd year. And now people ask how long I've been selling, and I just say a long time. This is my 4th downturn. The 4th market I've been in where things are a little harder and a little trickier. And there are some key fundamentals that we all know, but we kind of have to get back to those basics and sort of rely back again on those key fundamentals to make sure we're part of that 20% or 10%. And most of the other agents, you guys are the exception. We're the exception. We're here in the room. We're committing in a down market. We've spent the money to come. We're engaging. We're really trying to grow and improve ourselves. The vast majority are not. And I think that's going to help lead to your success. So hang on, I gotta go back, I gotta say that. So before I get into this and before we talk, let's just reflect for a minute on what happened when COVID hit. So March of 2020, we were gearing up. It was a good market, we thought. We thought things were gonna be fine and continue on. There were these rumors of this coronavirus, and there were all the funny things. I don't think we posted one, but lots of people were posting with a Corona beer can and a scarf around its throat because it was a sore throat. Corona. And then it hit. And business for us in Kelowna essentially shut off. And my sister Shannon and I, our business manager, sat down and went virtually, of course. What are we going to do? How are we going to survive this? We have 11 other realtors that depend on us and 5 staff members. So I'm looking at it thinking, okay, we have 18 mortgages to pay here. And no one's going to be buying or selling a house. So what are we going to do? And for about 3 weeks, our phones didn't ring. Our internet leads were non-existent. No one could leave your house. I mean, I'd sneak out for a run early in the morning, and I was the only one out there. It was weird and kind of creepy. And then all of a sudden, we started to notice that we were getting more engagement on our website, and people asking on, clicking on Facebook ads, and Shannon is the marketing guru with us, and she said, okay, double it. And I'm like, double what? She said, double all our marketing, the budget for Facebook, for Instagram, search engine optimization, start doing lunch and learns. We've got to get out in front of people virtually. And we did, and it exploded, and it was phenomenal. And our market share, because most of our competitors just went quiet. They really weren't doing much of anything, and everybody was at home. And there's only so much you can watch on Netflix. So, the lunch and learns were great, we were getting engagement, and it took off. And it took off across Canada, across North America. Everybody cared about their home and wanted a nicer one. So everybody was getting into the business. In preparing for this, I was talking with Canadian Real Estate Association, and I said, so how have our numbers changed? realtors have we got in Canada right now? The numbers increased 9% so far this year. So 2022, we have 9% more than we did in 2021. In 2021, we had 13% more than in 2020. So it has taken off. Everybody wants to get in on the action. And can you blame them? Because it's like this, selling sunset. I would like to be a realtor like that too. You get to wear fabulous shoes, which I bought for the conference. You drive around in a really fancy car, you tour these multi-million-dollar homes. There's a little fighting in the office, but it's kind of exciting and good. So 156,000 realtors in our country. But then it shifted. We've gone from selling sunset to the Hunger Games. You've got your weapon, you're like, out of my way, I'm gonna get that listing. And actually, you don't even want the listing. You want the buyers. They're the golden ones right now. So my advice with all of this and what we're doing today in our business, what I recommend everybody does, is you hold on, you hunker down, and you hang in there. And I have a great story that embodies this. Hold on, hunker down, hang in there. And it's nothing to do with real estate. So before COVID in 2018, I was really, really lucky, and I went away to Bali, which I'm going to bid on tomorrow, I'm just warning you all. But I went to Bali with my mom. And my mom at the time was 75. Don't tell her I told you, she'll be really mad. But mom was 75, I had gone to give a little bit of a talk, and then she was game, she'd never been to Indonesia, and she said, let's do something fun. Let's be wild and crazy. She's 75, I'm not that far behind her. Like, okay, Mom, let's do it. Let's go on a snorkeling trip. She's like, okay, that sounds great, we'll do it. So we'd had a driver, he took us to a spot to do a snorkeling trip. First thing we did was hand over our money. That was a lot of money. Hand the money over, they give us a life jacket, and we head out on the little rubber boat. You guys have gone snorkeling probably. And we get on the boat, and it's super choppy. White caps everywhere, and I'm looking at this, supposed to be idyllic, calm water. And I'm like, it's gonna be kind of hard snorkeling in this. And Mom's like, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. So they take us way out, getting ready to snorkel. A couple other people on the boat were sick. They come back. They said, it's too choppy, it's too windy. We can't go snorkeling. And I said, it's okay. Don't worry. We'll just take our money back and we'll be fine. We'll go do something else. And the people said, oh, no, we're not going to give you your money back. How about you go scuba diving? And neither my mom nor I are certified divers. And I said, no, I don't really want to do that. And he said, well, how about you go out on that thing? And he pointed over there to what looked like a ski biscuit. And all those things with Kelowna's got a lovely lake, and my kids love it. You hold on and tow behind the boat. And I thought, sure. I looked at my 75-year-old mom and went, she said, yeah, let's do it, ski biscuit. So we had our life jackets and everything on because we'd already been out on a different boat. And they said, no, new life jackets. We're like, okay, well, no problem. So they give us different life jackets, and we get these serious life jackets, the strap on your kid between your legs. We get helmets, and we head over to the ski biscuit. I'm like, helmet for ski biscuit? I love this. They're so safe here. Isn't that nice? We're in Indonesia, this great country with these beautiful, kind people, and they're just taking care of us. So we go over there. It's still as choppy as it was before. And this kid who looked 7, but he was 17, he's like, are you scared? I'm like, no, not really scared. And he's like, I'm scared. I'm like, oh, well, why are you scared? So Mom sits in her little chamber, and I sit in my little chamber, and he's like, now you lay down. I'm like, lay down? I don't really like to lay down in a ski biscuit, but okay, and he's kind of yelling at us. So Mom starts laughing. So she's very obedient, she's good, she lays down, and he's like, now hold on. So we're laying down in this ski biscuit, we're holding on, and the boat takes off. So fast, and we're rattling, and we're going backwards, and the kid is sitting between Mom and I on the little chamber. Like, I'm in this side, and there's this air-filled chamber, and Mom's on the other, and the kid's sitting between us. And it's so choppy, I'm worried about my neck, I'm worried about my mom, and and all of a sudden it gets really peaceful. It's lovely, so peaceful. Well, we were on what's called a flying fish. Indonesia is the only, Bali is the only country in the world that hasn't banned the flying fish. So we were 25 feet up in the air. I was so scared, I couldn't breathe actually. And I'm holding on there, I'm like, crap, I'm gonna die. My eyes are closed so tight, and all I can hear is Mom. She's laughing. I can't breathe. I'm pretty sure I peed my pants. Luckily it was a bit wet in there. And then the kid's like, no, you're scared. I'm like, oh yes, I know I'm scared. Finally, we come down, we make safe passage. I'm like, okay. Then he's like, you want to go again? I'm like, just get me off of this thing. I get shaky talking about it now. But we held on, we hunkered down. I mean, there were no straps. There were, had we flipped, had we hit another boat, had anything happened, great numbers of people die every year going on this flying fish. Luckily, we weren't one of them, but we held on. So this is kind of interesting. There's a market research company. It's a public opinion company that CREA hires every year, about every 2 years. And they do studies, and they ask the consumers, the public, well, what do you think of realtors? What do you think of real estate? And we actually fared pretty well on most of the stuff. So the public gave us a 7.8 out of 10 on our expertise with paperwork, okay? They gave us a 7.6 out of 10 on our market knowledge. They gave us a 5.4 out of 10 on value. And I think that's a challenge that we're facing in our industry right now. Now, average prices vary greatly across the country. In Toronto and Vancouver, they're over $1 million. Commission, the total commission in many of those places is $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. Across Canada, the average price of a house was $637,000 last year. That's still a big chunk of money, still a big chunk of commission that they're paying. If we average commission out at 3.5%, and I know lots of places are way more, it works out to $22,000, $25,000. The average salary of a Canadian so far this year is $56,000. So they're paying us $22,000, $52,000, $82,000. In many cases, it's more than they're making for a whole year. And I think that's why they're sort of questioning the value and looking at us going, okay, it was easy, and when the market was so good and prices were going up so much, they cared a little less because they were making great money too. But today and tomorrow and maybe for the coming months, they may not. We know they're not going to make those same gains that they were, and we're really, really going to have to show our value. We must if we're going to continue to exceed and survive. So tip number one, what we really try and do is identify your unique selling proposition. Figure out what you do that's different than somebody else. In my town, we have over 1,100 realtors in Kelowna. We're a total population of just about 200,000 if you include surrounding areas. So that means we have one realtor for every 143 people over the age of 18. There are tons of us, and your towns are probably the same. And respectfully, they actually do think we're all kind of the same. We're like ants heading to the sugar trap over there, and they look and go, well, yeah, you're gonna put it on MLS, great, so is everybody else, and so can they on their own. So be true to who you are. Figure out what makes you different, because I believe in really being authentic, and don't push yourself to do something because the next guy's doing it, or I'm doing it, or somebody else. Do what's true to you, and figure out your niche and make sure people know about it. When Shannon joined up with me in 2005, she came with her business degree specializing in marketing. And she's, like I said, she's got a great brain for marketing. She looked at the business and she said, okay, this is good. Tamara, you've got something great. You sell lots of houses, it's fine. She said, you've actually captured really well how to get the people who know that they're moving to Kelowna. I said, yeah, thanks, I was excited. She said, but you're completely missing the boat on the people who don't know. they're coming to Kelowna. She said, we've got to get those people before they hook up with another agent. We've got to find those ones. I'm like, okay, this sounds expensive. What are we going to do here? And we came up with out-of-town marketing, and it's our shtick. And we run, our first one was in Fort McMurray, and, well, I guess it was 2006, beginning of 2006. And we packed up all of our listings, put together big brochures, and we went out to Boston Pizza. We were there from 9 until 11 p.m., free jugs of beer, free pizza, and learn about Kelowna real estate. And we sold a few places. So then we expanded on it, and 17 years later, Kelowna knows that we're here, speaking to you guys. We should have our listings up there. But we market out of town extensively. I'm happy to share with you, aside from this, but give you some of what we're doing to get our listings in front of people in Toronto, in Calgary, in Vancouver, in Victoria. And it's something that has really sort of helped people figure out, okay, well, everybody's going to do MLS, but those girls are the ones who are promoting a bit differently. And we could all be doing this, except the people here from Kelowna don't do it. So that's our unique selling proposition. We talk about it all the time with everybody. And I mean, even now, coming here, Shannon created a genius ad that shows an airplane. It's a slide going across Canada. And there's an airplane, and our happy faces on an airplane traveling across Canada. And we had several sellers, I think 4 or 5, reach out and say, I'm listed with someone else, but they're not going to Quebec City to network with 600 of the best agents. Can you help us get out of our contract? Can you take my house? So it works. We have to be careful on those conversations, but it works. So figure out what makes you different. Next thing, I mean, you guys will shout out answers maybe, or if you're shy, like I am when I'm in there, I never want to shout out. But again, Nanos and CREA did a study and said, okay, what are the most important things that you look for in a realtor? And when I read that, I would have said, well, market knowledge and being local and things like that, like your ability to measure a house quickly, maybe not, nice shoes, negotiation. So the 2 key things that a buyer or seller are looking for are the ability to negotiate really well and communication. And negotiating, you look and go, of course I'm a good negotiator, but it's really easy to negotiate have the seller negotiate, to get your commission lower, and you sometimes take it. Or the seller to insist that they know more about values of homes than you do, and they negotiate for you to take it at a price you don't think it'll sell at. So while we've got a little more time, we're heading to winter, it's a bit quieter, spend some time. There's that course, that certified negotiation course. I really think it's a good idea to take that. I think it's a really good idea to incorporate your ability to negotiate into your presentations, into all your conversations, and show people that you've got a great skill. Marketing is wonderful. Paperwork, you're a pro at your paperwork, or your assistant is, but that you'll negotiate hard on their behalf. And then the second part of that is communication. And I go back, 2007, 2008, we didn't have a huge team. We had Shannon and I, we had an assistant who went for lunch one day and didn't come back. And it was crazy. It was so busy. And the phone would ring, and it buzzes, and you look and go, oh, I don't want to get this. I haven't talked to them in 3 weeks. So I'd force it to Shannon. I'd reject the call knowing they'd phone her right away. She'd reject sending it back to me. We played this hot potato. We don't want to talk to them because what are we going to say? And we heard there was a realtor, I don't think he's a realtor anymore, Dean Philpott from the island. And at one of these conferences, he talked about making Happy Friday calls. And he said, every Friday I phone every one of my sellers and I chat with them, even if there's nothing to say. There's always something to say. You can report on how many more listings there are, how many sales there were, if anything. Ask them if anybody drove by their house really slowly. And, if they didn't, well, maybe you should improve the curb appeal, or, have these conversations. But in today's day, that was a long time ago. Happy Friday call still happens on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You need to really, really over-communicate with your people. Because again, they're paying us half of their annual salary. They don't consider that half of that goes to the cooperating broker. They don't care about our marketing costs on drone or anything. They just know when they go to the lawyers how much that costs. So it's, we're bringing it back to ensuring that they feel communicated with, that they know we really, really care, now more than ever. Something I like to talk about with people and share with people, and I encourage you guys to gather these facts or these little tidbits, if you will, and share them with people. And we call it insider information. And it's like a toolkit. We share this with our team, and we say, okay, you've got a pocket full of tips over here that are valuable and helpful to a seller, and you've got a pocket full of tips and information in your left pocket that are for a buyer. And what you want to share is insider information, is something that they can't find out elsewhere. Because lots of our brokers put together monthly stats. I mean, our office even does the whole newsletter. They put our faces on it. It's great. Except every other of the 180 realtors at Remax Kelowna also sends out that exact same, stack of information. And it starts to look like, we're not really doing anything that's different. We're not providing nuggets or sort of tidbits. So you're probably wondering, okay, Tamara, what are you talking about? I like to know what the most expensive house that sold was last month, what the least expensive was, how many of the houses that sold were the ultra luxury, I call it, how many have suites, like the different things that they look and go, okay, so what does that mean if, in Kelowna last month we had 10 homes sell over 3 million. 5 of them were over $5 million. One of them had been on the market consecutively, not with us, for 14 years. And it finally sold. 14 years. That person knows how to keep a listing, or it's family or something. But when I share that, when we share that with people, they go, wow, what does it mean? And it's helpful to say, okay, well, if we're having a lot of stuff sell at $8, $9, $10 million, and by a lot I mean 5 or any, but it's a breath of confidence in a time when we are just inundated with negativity. The news out there is doom and gloom, and Nick Bailey talked about, everyone's talking about the headlines, and that's what most people are reading. So if you can find some information to share with people that they can't find somewhere else. So for sellers, it's facts and statistics on the market. I really like that. For buyers, it's insider information. It's secret stuff. It's where the water, in Kelowna we've got areas with well water. And in March through June, you don't want to have a bath because that well water is brown as tea. So it's giving them some of that sort of thing that other realtors aren't sharing. And it builds that trust, and it helps them go, okay, you actually know what you're doing. And maybe you are the one who's going to be able to get me the best buy. Okay, who knows what this is? It's a roller coaster. But this is a real estate agent's business plan, typically. And what happens, you guys don't do this, I'm sure, but I know when I got in, I didn't have any clients. I was young and had no experience. I had tons of enthusiasm. So I did all the stuff that you had to do back in the dinosaur age. And I did lots of open houses, and I sent note cards. I started a database of everybody I had ever met and their parents. And I did all of this, and it started to work. And I started to gain some traction and find some clients and start to get busy. And I stopped doing all the stuff I needed to be doing, the prospecting. And then I was really busy. I was riding the high bid. It was awesome. I had offers on the go and negotiating deals. And then everybody bought or the listing sold, and I was back down at the bottom again, back to square one. And that, honestly, it is what most of us do. And I know it's what most of us have done out of necessity over the last couple of years. We were too busy to be prospecting. There was too much on the go. You couldn't see straight. Never mind getting out and doing some of those key things. And maybe some of us are feeling the effects of that now, because I know we sort of neglected our database. I'm up here telling you guys what to do, but even we, lots of us did that. And you look and go, okay, so how do I constantly and consistently prospect? And prospecting has changed, or it's evolved, but it is still, as everybody's been saying, it is a people business. I believe there's tremendous value in face-to-face and finding people. For us, open houses, I don't like personally sitting in an open house. I think it's the most boring thing in the world, and I don't think it's really going to sell the house. but it's a great way to be in front of people who you have a common interest with. They're interested in real estate. Probably not going to buy that house, but you can at least have a conversation with them. In our market, we are allowed, I think, the broker's not here, we're allowed to prospect expired listings. And we do that. We find an expired listing. I like one that was on the market 6 months ago, a year ago, somebody who failed to sell, and going to them, going and chatting with them. I have people who go, yeah, our board doesn't allow us to do that. We cannot specifically go and prospect on, that listing that was at 123 Maple Street. And I'm like, okay, you can't go there, but if you go to all the houses on Maple Street and drop something off and have a conversation, then you're not directly soliciting that one. You're putting some information out and chatting with people. This is the best book I have ever read to help you hold yourself accountable and to help get rid of that roller coaster. So it's the 4 Disciplines of Execution, 4DX they call it. And there are tons of systems out there. This one just works well for me, and it just works with my brain to go, okay, I need to set aside an hour a day, so 10% of my time I'm spending prospecting. Whether that's chatting with past clients, Shannon and I went to show our team that we could do it. We did go out and go door knocking, but it's some kind of thing where I'm like, okay, I've got to get out there and have conversations about real estate. And this book held me accountable and still does. It's just a check mark where I go, okay, it's in my schedule. You put going to the gym, you put time with your family or friends, put your prospecting right in there and hold yourself accountable. You will see the results of it. And then you reward yourself. Because if it's all work and no play, it's not very much fun. So I like shoes. I've alluded to them, 3 times in a 25-minute talk. But Shannon and I have done this for years, and I think it was probably her idea when we started. So if you're going to go and do the hard work, the prospecting, the door knocking, the calling past clients, and whatever you're doing, our rule is if you connect with 10 people, you have 10, even if it's a guy, if we went door knocking, we haven't had it in years, but we have before, where you go door knocking and someone's like, I hate all realtors. I'm like, thank you so much. 1 down, 9 to go, and we go shoe shopping. So it works for me. Your thing might be shoes. It might not be shoes. It could be something different. But give yourself a reward. Hold yourself accountable. Make yourself do the stuff you don't want to do. Don't overthink it. And then have a reward. Sometimes my reward is really simple. Like, I'd really like a second cappuccino. But I can't have it until I phone 3 people. And I'm looking at the coffee beans and the machine. And I'm like, okay, just phone. But it works. It works for me, it'll work for you. It works for every one of us. Just have a plan and hold yourself accountable with that. So in closing, hunker down, hold on, hang in there. One little thing is be mindful of your expenses. Because I think it's really easy in a time like this to go, okay, I need the secret sauce to ensure that I can crush it and keep my income where I got really used to it for the past couple of years. Thank you very much. And you look and go, okay, so what is it? What's the shiny new thing that'll fix it all? And just be careful. And I remember back in 2009, there was a realtor who came in guns blazing into our market. And she spent a ton on marketing. Notepads and flyers and postcards and all kinds of ads. She had bus benches. She was everywhere. And we had our awards thing at the end of the year, January when they do it. And she got 100%. First year. She was new to real estate. She was new to Kelowna. And she went up there and got her 100% award. And I went up to her and said, holy cow, congratulations, that's incredible. You didn't know anyone. And you made 100% club. That's amazing. And she said, yeah, thanks. And she said, problem is, it cost me $115,000 to make 102. Not such a good business plan, and yet really easy to do. So I love what Nick Bailey was saying. You don't want to disappear because your competitors are disappearing. They're stopping spending and they're going to slip away, lots of them. So you want to be there, but just know that face to face, belly to belly, A is free. B, I think it's the most effective thing that we can do. So that is my chat. If I reflect back on that time with my mom on the flying fish and being suspended up there in the air, I wish I had opened my eyes a little bit. My mom laughed like you would not believe. She talks about that flying fish. I mean, she hadn't done anything like that before. I actually think she'd do it again. And I go, it was a bit of a ride. Kind of wish I'd paid some attention before I got back to ground and returned to normal. So good luck with it. Thank you.